Okay, in this lesson, we're going to look at how to write an equation from the multiple representations we've been looking at. Some of it I think will be familiar. So the key thing is we always have to find the slope. Remember, that's our m. We always have to find the y-intercept. That's our b. And I just want to remind you, for the y-intercept, we know that that's when x is 0. And then the y value is any other number. Sometimes it could be 0, but the key thing is we want to remember that the x value has to be 0. And so then when we have our slope and we have our y-intercept, then we're ready to write our equation in slope-intercept form. And all we have to do is fill in the slope and fill in the y-intercept. An example is our equation could end up looking like y equals 1/2 x plus 2. Something like that. Okay? So let's look at our table. So from a table, again, we need to know our slope. We need to know our y-intercept. Now I want to point out, if you look at your table, do you see where x is 0? Right here, this is our y-intercept. So our y-intercept we know is 1. It's not always given to us in the table, but in this case it is. So the next thing we need to do is we need to find our slope. Remember, you can pick any 2 points you want from the table. I'm going to pick these bottom 2 because all the numbers are positive, and that makes it a little bit easier. So to go from 3 to 5, we're adding 2. To go from 1 to 2, we're adding 1. Remember, our slope is the change in y over the change in x, rise over run. So it'd be 2 over 1 or 2. Now that I have my slope and my y-intercept, then I can write the equation from this table. So it would be y equals m2x plus b, plus our y-intercept of 1. And there is the equation that is represented by this table. Okay, let's look at the next one. Again, we want to find our slope and y-intercept. And notice this time, the y-intercept, there's no x is 0. So we're going to start by finding our slope. The pattern is we're adding 4, we're adding 1. And so our slope would be 4 over 1 or 4. Now, how does that help us find our y-intercept? Well, if we know going this way, we're adding 4 each time and adding 1 each time. When we go backwards, we would subtract 4 and subtract 1. Well, if x is at 1, we know we need to get when x is 0. So 1 minus 1 is 0, bam. 11 minus 4 is 7. And so our y-intercept is 7. And so now we're ready to write the equation. Y equals 4x plus 7. I will tell you the tables are the hardest. Okay, let's look at the next one. Again, our y-intercept is not given. I want you to notice that the x values are all over the place. They're not in order. Not a big deal. We're still going to start by finding our slope. Okay, to get from 5 to 13, we add 8. Remember, you could pick any 2 points. So they just make sure you're using the same point for your x and your y. 2 to 4, we're adding 2. So our slope would be 8 over 2 or 4. Now that's really important because remember, we want the unit rate. Our unit rate is 4 or 4 over 1. So our y's are increasing by 4 and our x's are increasing by 1. The reason I say that is because now as we work backwards, we're at x equals 2. So I need to go back where x is 1, and then I need to go back where x is 0. So we're going to have to work backwards twice using this positive 4, positive 1, our unit rate. So we're going to say minus 4 each time because we're working backwards, and minus 1 each time. So 2 minus 1 gives me 1. 1 minus 1 gives me 0. 5 minus 4 gives me 1. One more time, 1 minus 4 gives me negative 3. So my y-intercept is negative 3. Okay, so our equation now would be y equals 4x minus 3. Okay, let's look at the graph. Do you see the y-intercept? I hope you do. The y-intercept is right here. B equals negative 5. So remember, to find the slope, we can draw our triangle, or we could use the points and use our formula. This is a rise of 1, 2, 3, 4, a run of 1, 2, 3. So our slope is 4/3. And that means our equation is y equals 4/3 x minus 5. Okay, look at the next one. Okay, no points are labeled. I see an exact point right here, and I see an exact point right there. My y-intercept, 1, 2, 3, would be at negative 3. Draw your triangle to find your slope. That's 3 and 2. Remember, this is a negative sloped graph, so I have to say that it's a negative slope of 3/2. And so now my equation is y equals negative 3/2x minus 3. Okay, so our last example. So remember, in our verbal examples, for slope or rate of change, we're looking for that per, and for the y-intercept, we're looking for that amount that we're only paying one time. So see here where it says $7.50 per half hour? That is our slope. It says in addition to a service fee of $25, that's going to be our y-intercept. So our equation would be y equals 750x, I'm not going to put the 0, plus 25. Okay, last example. Party City rents costumes by the week. They charge $25 per week. That would be your slope. And a cleaning fee, a one-time fee of $15. That's your y-intercept. So the equation is y equals 25x plus 15. Okay. So now you should be ready to look at the cards and analyze which one does not belong.